place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Good evening and welcome to the show. Darkness Radio is on the air. We have a big announcement to make, Tim, right at the beginning of the show.
We do?
This is a day that will live in infamy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Well, it's kind of a big day in your family's life.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, so I thought I'd give you a chance to acknowledge that important day.
I was going to say, there was a big bombing on this day in history, but, World War II. But
Yeah, no.
No, not that. Oh, it's my mother's birthday today.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's 71 today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Darkness Damien says happy birthday, too, with a mouthful of cookies.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm feeding the kid cookies.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm a bad
You're
influence
the worst
already.
uncle.
I am.
Well,
yeah.
to him, the greatest uncle that ever lived.
Yeah.
To me, not so great.
Yeah, we're having a little party.
Yeah, he'll be spending the night at your house
What?
tonight. Yeah.
Why?
You'll load him with sugar. You can't pass him back
I
to me.
can't?
No.
Oh.
No, it says it right in the old Uncle Handbook. You'll have to review that again. So happy birthday to Jackie, Tim's mom. We wish you all the best and a very happy and healthy new year. How about that?
That works.
Yeah, we're not on tomorrow night for Darkness, but I will be hosting Coast to Coast AM tomorrow, a deeper look into the Johnny Gosch disappearance. You heard about it on our show a few weeks back on True Crime Tuesday. What happened to Johnny Gosch? He was one of the first kids ever on the side of the milk cartons. We're going to talk not only to the producers and writers of the documentary who took Johnny, but we're also going to talk with his mother. Noreen Gosch will join us tomorrow night on Coast to Coast AM. We're going to go deep into this topic, talking about trafficking, children abductions, and hear from the woman firsthand who lived through one of the most horrific experiences in history. And it is a weird, twisted story you've got to hear, and you'll get to hear it from her lips tomorrow. Also, very special birthday wishes to my mom, who turns 70 tomorrow, Tim. She is, just an amazing woman. And right now, again, I want to thank everybody for keeping her in your prayers and thoughts. She is dealing with stage 4 lung cancer that has spread throughout her body. She is now on her 3rd chemotherapy. She's spending the night in the hospital tonight, so she'll be spending most of the day on her birthday in the hospital in Illinois. But we just want her to know that our thoughts and prayers are with her as well. And thank all of you who've been sending in so many gracious emails and loving things on Facebook and Twitter. It means a lot. So I just want to address that up front. Let's get going, Tim. We've got a hell of a show lined up for you tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. And, we both feel like we're accomplished guys. We've done a lot with our life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, not as much as this guy, Tim. I don't want to make you feel like maybe we've been spinning our wheels, but listen to this. Our guest this evening is the Reverend Jesus Payan. He's an American Mayan, French-Italian with O-negative blood, Tim. That's a start. He's a Hollywood actor. You might recognize him from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, Two Guns. Producer, stuntman, Falcon Project Field crew member, experiencer, tattoo artist, commercial artist, musician, writer, researcher, lecturer that has been immersed in the world of myth, legend, and the paranormal and the supernatural since his birth in Spain, Madrid in 1976. He's here with us tonight to talk, and if that's not enough, Tim, he's running as an independent in the presidential race.
I got to go back to school or something.
Yeah, you and I have been slacking, son. We need to do more because this guy's done more in his life than you and I combined in like 4 lifetimes. So let's get started with this as we talk about different aspects of the supernatural, paranormal. Welcome to the show, Jesus Payan. Hello, welcome this evening.
Thank you very much, and I just want to say thank you for having me, and happy birthday to your mom, Tim, and happy birthday to your mom, Dave, tomorrow, and my prayers are definitely with both of them, and I hope recovery is in the future, you know?
That's very nice. I appreciate you throwing that out to both of them. That's great. You and Tim was telling me you've been a listener since way back in the old days, 2006, 2007 time frame.
Yep, I've been listening for a long, long time. Like I was telling Tim, whenever I have to travel to do my filming, because I keep New Mexico here in Little Tularosa home base. Whenever I go to Albuquerque to film or L.A., I listen to your show because usually it's 3 hours, so not kill time, but it's everything I enjoy listening to, and I like your guys' perspective, your humor. You guys crack me up.
Well, very cool.
I've been listening for a long time, and I was I'm training for heavyweight boxing as well. So while I train, I listen to the shows, whatever shows I can get a hold of.
Oh yeah, Tim, I forgot to throw that in heavyweight boxing as well.
A boxer too?
Yeah.
I gotta find a hobby or something.
Yeah, obviously, we both do. This guy's leading the life. I've got to ask you. You're a presidential candidate running in the Independent Party, but in your bio it says you were born in Madrid, Spain. Doesn't that automatically make you unqualified, or not unqualified? But what's the right term on this?
Disqualified.
Tim? Yeah, disqualified.
Like Ted Cruz. No, my father he was in the military, so he was stationed in the Torrejon Air Force Base where I was born on U.S. soil.
Oh, very cool. See, there's the deal. You've got a better line than Obama does, at least. Right. So
I've got birth certificates and all kinds of fun stuff.
That's great. So what is we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. I want to know what's more exciting, being a Hollywood actor, a boxer, or an investigator of the supernatural. We'll talk with our guest when we return, the Reverend Jesus Payan, right here on Darkness Radio. We're back here on Darkness Radio. Our guest this evening, the Reverend and political presidential candidate, Tim. I don't know if I mentioned that part yet.
You did, yeah.
But the Reverend Jesus Payan is with us this evening. Now, help me out because I'm already getting beat up by social media saying, obviously it's Jesus, Dave. But make sure that they understand I'm not just some moron mispronouncing your name.
No, you were pronouncing it correct in English. The way I work is whatever language you speak to me in, the way you say my name.
Well, and who's not going to vote for Jesus? For God's sakes, that's got to be a great slogan.
Vote Jesus, it just sounds right.
Yeah, it does. But, and I think there's already T-shirts out there that you don't even have to pay to build. They're already out there.
Exactly. There's all kinds of fun stuff. I would go to the local, Walgreens or whatever, and there's a whole section of, what would Jesus do, and Jesus, keychains, and
obviously Jesus would be a boxer and an actor and a paranormal investigator and presidential candidate. What's more exciting for you? I mean, acting, being a boxer, going out and investigating claims of the paranormal. What kind of really gets your juices going?
Well, honestly, doing the paranormal thing, supernatural, researching, investigating Bigfoot, that's what I do. Because doing films and TV, I don't have to work throughout the whole year. I only have to work like 2 months out of the year, and all the bills get paid for the year. So I have a whole bunch of off time, and then that's when I do a bunch of charity work. But between the charity work, I'm just doing investigating of all these different fields because I'm like a weird crap magnet. But when I'm doing my movies, it's fun. To me, it's more of a job. I started doing film because I wanted to be able to take care of my parents and children and all that comfortably and not have to struggle forever. So that's when I decided to become an actor. And it's awesome meeting all these people I've been watching on TV and movies for a long, long time. I just the way I look, I'm covered in tattoos and look like a giant cholo. The movie industry loved it, and I got stereotyped so much in real life, I figured they'd eat it up. So sure enough, the first movie I walked on set, as an extra, I ended up with a main role by the end of the day fighting Steven Seagal, and been working professionally ever since.
Wow, very cool. That's a great story, the way to get in. And yeah, I guess using what everybody else is typecasting you in real life as something to launch a career, that's a great way to take what some people would look at as a negative and making something amazing out of it. How old were you when you realized that you had a fascination with the strange and supernatural?
I would say 5 years old.
And what was that catalyst for you?
Well, when I was 3, me and my sister, she was 5, we had our first UFO sighting. And it was the exact same year as the Rendlesham Forest incident, which we were about an hour away from while it happened, while we were having our UFO sighting. And she remembered it being a green cigar-shaped UFO. I remember it being orange. is the only difference. But my parents took us Loch Ness monster hunting in Scotland when we were 5, and yeah, that's what I think really started the whole, me being interested in researching it and trying, looking at any book I could find. And we lived in a haunted house at the time in England. It was an old house that underneath our staircase there was caves, not caves, but I guess tunnels that had still the bodies of slaves in there that died, they left in there to die.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the TV would turn off and on, steps up and down our staircase, down the hallway. My sister's bedroom would stay, super cold.
Now, was that something,
no matter what?
As a child growing up with that activity in your house, was it frightening to you, or was it kind of exhilarating and exciting, like an adventure?
Well, when I was Loch Ness monster hunting, or it was at daytime, it was such an adventure. But at night, it was scary as hell, and I had lots of, blankets pulled over my head or running to my mom's room. Yeah, it was pretty scary stuff. I didn't know what it was. And it was a combination of the UFOs with, ghosting and this thing. I couldn't differentiate, that there was a difference. I thought it was all the same thing until much later in life when I really got into, deep research and of all that. I could see, realize it was different situations happening.
Well, when you're living in a haunted house, at what stage do you recognize, this is why my house is haunted? This is what's happening is, it's because there were slaves here. There were people, kept and tortured. Was that something that you knew at the time, or did you find out later? Were you trying to piece that puzzle together when you were growing up?
Well, we knew as a little kid, I knew it was ghosts. I knew it was ghosts that was there. Didn't know it at the moment. I didn't realize, why it was happening. Again, I thought this was normal. Like everybody was experiencing this stuff. I thought this was like a normal thing for people. And my parents, they were getting freaked out, and eventually went into town to get information on the house. And while I was, about 4 or 5 years old, is when they did this finally, and I found out that, behind the wall in our little closet, jacket closet under the stairs, cold air would be coming out. And my dad was like, where is this, this cold air coming from? That makes no sense. It's under the staircase. And we found out, got the plans of the house and everything. They found out, that there was a section of the house that had been blocked off that led down to slave quarters. And that's why, so when I was about 5, they said that's why it's probably haunted.
And now you have an understanding and a realization. And I mean, were your parents pretty open with you about this, or were they always trying to, no, it's nothing. It's just the house settling. It's nothing you have to worry about. Well,
my dad more, and I can't say nothing. Me and my dad we get along, and we don't get along. He's a good man though, but he's always been the cynic and the debunker. Even if he sees it happening, he's just like, nope, not happening. Don't think so. And he hasn't embraced that yet. But they would explain stuff themselves. When we were living here in New Mexico, we had got stationed here on Holloman Air Force Base. We ended up getting a house in town, and we had another house that was, haunted again, 702 Delaware, and it had all wood floors. And me and my sister were latchkey kids. Both parents worked, and we would come home, a few hours before my parents got off work, and we would hide under the kitchen table that had really long tablecloths because we were so scared. And we would hear, walking back and forth in the hallway. Right above us in chairs, we would sit there and hear people talking, playing checkers, it sounded like, or chess. The TV, we'd hear the TV come on and the channels changing, but when we'd look out the tablecloth, it would be off. That house was just creepy as heck, and we shared a bedroom. We had bunk beds. I slept on the top bunk.
See? Bunk beds. I knew there was going to be a bunk bed story involved.
I remember what you said about that. And man, them bunk beds is not cool. But one night we both wake up, and there's a set of red glowing eyes, almond-shaped eyes, and that scared the living crap out of me. I screamed, fell out of the top bunk, hit the floor, peed myself, and ran to my parents' room. And they told me that I was crazy, and that it was because they had watched Amityville Horror a couple of days before. And the thing is, though, we weren't allowed to watch it. And when I later, as an adult, went to watch the movie again, when I see the eyes in the movie, it's two little blinking little dots, just blink, blink in the movie, and nothing like what we saw that night. We saw big, glowing, red, almond-shaped eyes, you know. So to explain it away as we just were some kids that were scared of a movie, yeah, it didn't even match.
How did your sister react when you flipped out of the bed and screamed?
Oh, well, she screamed too, because we both woke up at the exact same time and saw the same thing, but she saw it from the bottom. She ran with me, behind me, went straight to my parents' house.
Now, you saw the glowing red eyes. Was there any dark shape or anything mist-like that was behind it?
No, the whole room was pitch black. We didn't have a nightlight or anything, so all we could see was the red eyes, and then we just booked it for the door.
You have an experience like that, and what kind of effect? I mean, you've got to go back into that room, and you've got to sleep in there again the next night. What does that feel like? I mean, there are a lot of people that have never had an experience. You've had a lifetime of them, but at such an early age, how does that impact you?
It did affect us, but my dad was worried more about my dad. Listening to what he said, and he said, go back to your room. You know, you guys are imagining, you go back to your room, regardless, or get in trouble, you know. So he was very the military type, so he didn't question his orders, you know.
Would were you hiding your eyes and sweating it out at night for a couple of weeks until you resettled back in and realized it was a one-off?
Oh, yeah. We were freaked out because we went through this so much, and all these different houses, there was always something going on. And that's why, again, like I said, we thought it was normal. And when I finally hit like 12 years old and actually had friends outside of my house, and I would say, hey, did you see that UFO? Or I'd tell them about the ghost thing. They just look at me kind of funny, like, you're kidding, right? And I'm like, man, stop playing. And they're like, no, that doesn't happen. So that's when I started realizing that it was happening to our family a whole bunch more than normal.
Now, a lot of times we'll hear in cases like this that it seems to be centered around one person. Do you think you were the magnet, or do you think your sister was the magnet, or do you think it was the both of you that were kind of causing this ripple and drawing things towards you?
Well, my parents both experienced weird stuff through their childhoods and growing up. And my mom had, been in beds that would shake and, just, ghost stuff. And her family had lots of experiences. My grandparents on my dad's side, same thing. So it's like it was passed down, but it would be more centered around me. A lot of the experiences, like if you compare me and my sister, she's at a 15% rate weird stuff, and I'm like running the 9 to 5, So it seems to follow me everywhere.
Right, and I'm sorry, was this your younger sister?
Oh, she's my older sister. She's a sheriff in Florida.
Oh, very cool. So she was surrounded by this. Your mom was surrounded. At what age did your mom start sharing and regaling you with the tales of her own weird paranormal experiences? Did she do that when you were a child, or did she wait until you were older?
I'd say about when we were 14. I'd say about when I was 14 was the first time I ever heard her tell me stories of, her when she was young, going through ghost experiences.
Did you say, hey, Mom, if you were having these kind of experiences, why were you just telling me and my sister, go to bed? You just had a nightmare. This was nothing. You were just imagining what you saw in the movie. Well,
I did ask her that. She said that she didn't want us to be as scared because she'd been through it, and so she wanted us to be like, oh, okay, it's nothing. And but she couldn't explain, like, as I was growing up, why I'd draw the pictures I would draw, and pictures of these. She called them ugly little men, with big old eyes and big heads and little bodies and stuff like that. So
now, did she feel?
Freaked her out.
Did she feel that she was ever abducted?
Not at the time, no.
Has she?
She was more. She more dealt with the ghost phenomenon, and she had one time my parents. They were together. It was right before they got married, and she was 17. He was 19, and they were outside, and they experienced a giant. I guess it's not the thunderbird, but a giant bird that was twice as big as any how could I say condor, bigger than a condor. Flew over them in El Paso, Texas. Just ridiculously huge bird. So I thought that was kind of interesting too.
So you guys really are just like a conduit family full of strange experiences and things to witness. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and continue speaking with our guest. We got a long night ahead of us. Stick with us here on Darkness Radio. Reverend Jesus Payan, our guest this evening, as we talk about his life in the supernatural. So many weird experiences growing up, and from UFOs kind of being the catalyst to ghosts. How did you start to turn to cryptid investigation and cryptid research?
Well, the first time that I really touched, like, say, Bigfoot, was in the book Mysterious World by Arthur C. Clarke.
Okay.
And I was under, I don't know, like 6 years old when I read that book, and there was a story that stood out to me because it wasn't in the Bigfoot section. It was in the UFO section, and it tells of this single mother that lived in a cabin with her kids somewhere in Washington, in the mountains, and that it was evening time, and that she had horses and whatnot, that all the animals started just going nuts, and a bright light filled her whole living room up with, brilliant light. And they hid behind the couch, and she ended up calling 911 to report what was going on because, she was very scared, didn't know what was happening. And as soon as the dispatcher said, okay, we have a sheriff's en route, the light went out and it got quiet. The sheriff showed up, and when they got there, he investigated, the front yard, and there was a big bowl-shaped depression that I guess it was about 3 foot in diameter into the ground. And outside of that depression were 3 what would be like tripod-style circles pushed in the ground that were a foot across each. And I guess if you would imagine the diameter of the craft was, say, 30 feet, right there, big humanoid footprints began that were 2 inches in the ground and were over, I believe, 17 inches long. And they were at a 3-foot stride heading out towards the forest. And all of a sudden the tracks turn around and double their stride at 6 feet in between each step, and just stop exactly where they started, at the edge of what we believe is a craft. So that really piqued my interest because I was so interested in UFOs already, at the young age. That kind of started the Bigfoot, question and cryptids.
Right, and I mean that's a chilling story when you look at all the aspects of that and getting you in. Now, is that something? Now, you're a big guy. I mean, it's not like you're intimidated easily, I'm guessing. But,
right.
If you had your druthers, what would you rather run into, a ghost, an alien, or a Bigfoot, and have a full-on encounter to know once and for all this exists beyond a shadow of a doubt?
Well, I've already had experiences with all 3, okay? So the least scary in my, I guess, point of view would be the ghosts. Bigfoots, they're really big. They're so strong that if they wanted to, they could pop our little heads off, or rip off our arms. If they wanted to do it, they could. We can't run from them. They've run faster than horses. So the alien question, grays, the little gray guys, also that's scary because they're able to paralyze you. You can't fight back. They're even though they're little skinny little dudes, they seem to be quite strong.
Right.
How they're able to manipulate matter. So the ghosts, at least I can scream and run. And I've dealt with some crazy ghost experiences where it was full on. They were trying to hurt me and my friend, and it was still not as scary as a pissed off giant ape.
Right.
Whatever you want to call them. And same thing with the Greys. When you're in their presence, it's a whole nother level.
Yeah, I would guess. I mean, in dealing with that, I've seen craft in the sky. I had a strange encounter, not only seeing something, but something I think left my room when I was at the UFO ranch and stayed at the Trout Lake Hotel there in the town. I woke up to the sound of something moving and the door slamming. So, but I've never seen anything physical. But I'm so intrigued by the aspect of other beings checking in on us or being around. But on the other side, it's kind of a terrifying notion. Like you said, ghosts, they're ethereal. You can probably push them or run through them and get out of there. Aliens and Bigfoot, not so much. You've got a physical presence that you have to deal with.
Yep. It's a trip for sure. The thing about like what I went through is I haven't always experienced these things alone. I'm usually around people. They've been there when things showed up. I was with this one girl, April, and she was like, "Oh, Jesus, tell me about UFOs and aliens and stuff." And I'm like, "Well, it's late and it's dark, and I don't feel like doing that because usually when I talk about them for hours, something weird happens later. Either I see a UFO or I get visited later or something." So I wasn't too anxious, but she's like, "Please," and I was like, "All right." And while we're there talking about it, the little guy showed up, and she saw them and freaked out and took off in her car and called her husband. He was in the Air Force, and yeah, it was a crazy night. So it's Bigfoot for me is real for the reason because I've seen it multiple times now. I have video. We got a video of one of them throwing rocks at one of my fellow researchers, Robert. And you see the eye shine and everything come out.
Wait a minute.
Rock at him.
Who was throwing the alien or a Bigfoot? Did you say? I'm sorry, I hiccuped there first.
A Bigfoot threw, which throwing rocks at us. We were in northern New Mexico on a private ranch, and we ran into a family of them. There was like 4 of them, and they didn't like Robert Kreider, and they kept on throwing rocks at him. And I was trying to communicate with them. I was doing tapping sounds and stuff. I was like, I consider them, just another version of human. Bigger, hairier. They're smart. They have language. If you listen to any of the Native American, histories of Sasquatch, they never described them as just a big old monkey. They always described it as the hairy ones, the hairy humans, another tribe. Some feared them, some did trade with them, and they spoke with each other. And some of the traditions that we do in powwows today come from stories of a large, upright, hairy, being teaching them certain songs and stuff. So it's a trip.
We need to take another quick break. We'll come back. We've got more with our guest here on Darkness Radio. We're back. Reverend Jesus Payan, our guest this evening. And again, you may recognize him from his work on Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. He's here with us this evening to talk about his experiences with the strange and the supernatural. So obviously you're open to the ideas of ghosts and Bigfoot and alien encounters. Where do you come down in the field of dealing with the demonic? Is that something that's ever happened? Have you ever come up against something dark and malevolent in all of your research?
Yes, most definitely. One thing I'd like to add before I continue is that I'm not out to prove any of this stuff's real. That's not my goal, to convince people that this stuff's real. I ain't even tripping on that. I'm just sharing my experiences and my findings with everybody, I'm a reverend, yes, I believe in God, and as I do more research and learn more about the whole scope of all reality and mythology and the mysterious and conspiracies, it all connects together, and until you research the full spectrum of it all, can you really get a good idea of what's really happening? What are these things that we're experiencing? And calling them certain things and causing a lot of arguments because we don't understand exactly what we're dealing with. We've decided to label them, and fully understanding what they might be. For all we know, it's, up is down, down is up. There's so much to deal with.
How do you rectify these experiences with your religious upbringing and background? As a reverend, as somebody who believes in God and Christ, and then you've got these stories that just don't seem to fit the history that we've been given from the church and from the state. How does that rectify for you?
Okay, well, so where I'm at now, before I became reverend and everything, I had a certain viewpoint. I thought about all this stuff exists and God can't be real. The Bible's, a bunch of brouhaha. And, the two worlds can't exist in one because of what I've been told by, that catechism and whatever, and people that didn't believe any of that stuff. But the more and more I lived through it and researched it and talked to other people's experiences, and then it started pointing back towards the Bible, back towards demonic possession, the fallen angels, I started to look like the UFOs are very similar to all the accounts in medieval times in the Bible of fiery chariots during Alexander the Great. He had, the burning shields in Egypt, the burning shields. It goes on and on and on. If you use full history, they want to call it mythology. If you really study it all, the whole ancient alien theory is, I don't think it's ancient aliens. I don't think it's aliens anymore at all. I think that we're dealing with different orders of angels, of fallen angels on both sides. That some of them look alike. They got split right down the middle. UFOs that we're seeing, like I said, they're highly technological, but that doesn't mean that it can't be, angels. If you do believe in angels, which I do believe in them. I haven't seen an angel fly in front of me or nothing, but I know Jesus is real. I've received a healing before from going to church and asking Jesus for a healing, to heal my ankles. I couldn't walk, but I wasn't alone. Even the priest was there that, witnessed it. So there's a lot of things that I say is real because I've experienced them. So, like Bigfoot, the Greys, and, now I believe that those are certain ones are watchers, the other ones, are demonic and they're mean. And that's why you have both sides of the abduction experience where you have, the bad ones and the good ones. Some people experience nothing but positive stuff. Other people experience horrible torture and, being raped. And then there's the people that believe there's the military. So you have a third one thrown in there, too. But I have dealt with demonic entities. I bless homes. I try to rid them, of. I can't seem I can send people to the light or any of that stuff. But I know that I can, bless homes and do, the traditional Native American type of blessing, and also through through Jesus Christ. And it does help. It does get rid of a lot of things that have been around me. I get followed a lot by strange, dark spirits from doing all this research and going to haunted places.
Do you believe, it is intriguing. We just did that episode of Ghost Adventures, aired last week, where we went to the Stardust Ranch in Arizona. And, Zach asked the woman that was being harassed and molested by these aliens, does evoking the name Jesus Christ work? And she said, sometimes. And it seems interesting to me that, you've got these beings, whether they're alien or demonic in nature, then you've got malevolent hauntings and demonic hauntings, and some respond very well to being kind of ejected by the name of Christ. Others seem to mock it like it means nothing to them.
Yep.
How do we, that's part of what really kind of upsets the balance of nature. I think that's why people have such a hard time with the theory and belief of God and Christ and religion, is because it only seems to be kind of effective.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest part. Like for me, even though I've experienced all this stuff and I studied so much and I give lectures and I work with universities, all that stuff, I still can openly and comfortably say, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to figure it out as we go along. But I know that I'm not going to give a specific. I'm not going to be like, this is the way it is. Because every time that happens, we get proven wrong. And it changes. And it evolves. Just like my point of view on, from when, I just thought they were aliens from billions of miles away, and over time we started looking like a whole different aspect. Like you have Jacques Vallée, he wrote that book, Passport to Magonia. And in that book, he talks about the commonalities of today's abduction experiences versus the medieval days of succubuses and incubuses and fairies and fairy lights and, same thing. You go back into the Bible, same thing verses. So a lot of people, they are stuck in the realm of, if I don't see it with my own eyes, it doesn't exist in my mind, even though it may exist. Just like me, I may not believe in unicorns, but after I did the research and found out that when they refer to unicorns in the Bible, they were speaking about a rhinoceros. They weren't talking about a horse, running around with the horn. That's what rhinoceroses are called, with the unicorn. They were the unicorns. And over time, through, fairy tales and books and artwork, it's evolved into the pretty horse, and now it's like used as a joke, to say people that believe in Bigfoot believe in unicorns. Yeah.
The theory and belief behind ghosts as well, the fact that it's discarnate spirits that our body dies, the physical form ends, the energy that was either contained or that surrounded the body that we know as the soul it continues on. At least that's the hope that we have. But yet, there seems to be these different layers to the possibilities or probabilities of what a ghost really is. In your perceptions, from both logic, education, and your religious aspects, what do you believe a ghost really is, and where does that fall into our paradigm?
Well, ghosts, that's an awesome question. I believe they are more than just one thing. I think we are experiencing multiple things. Say, like, somebody dies. They didn't believe in God. They don't believe in heaven. They don't know what to do when you die. Like the Egyptians and all the other, different indigenous people had kind of a rule book on what happens and what you do after you die. I'm guessing that there's got to be tons of spirits out there. If we do continue to that next realm, we're still energy. We just don't have a physical body. If you don't know where to go, you're going to be stuck wandering around in this realm, and they can't see. Kind of like the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze. You have to learn after so long how to manipulate stuff. Then you got I believe, like another dimensional beings that are passing forth, back and forth, that, are able to manipulate things, that we're experiencing that as well. I think there's just multiple different, scenarios and situations that we're putting as just one deal, saying this is ghosts, So, yeah, I think there is some type of a place we do go. I don't know if it's a vibration thing. After you die, if you're not below that vibration, you cannot. Wow, all the power just went out of my house. It's not even started. But
that's how it starts.
I just think that we're dealing with so many different aspects, and a lot of people don't know that demons. You can't you just become a demon. Demons are fallen angels. That are or dead Nephilim. So, yeah, a lot of people don't even realize those things, and they will confuse and mix all kinds of different stuff into one grouping. So I can't say for positive what exactly one is, but I think, some of them are spirits from people, pissed off spirits. Some are residual hauntings, of such a, whatever energy expounded out of that moment in time, it's just replaying over and over and over. But it's situational. I watched Ghost Adventures since the first, documentary, and I saw, like, when you did the show, the contest with the different teams, and yeah, man, it's real. Demons are real. I've seen them. I've been attacked. Not been alone when it's happened.
Well, let's talk about that when we return. We've got to go to the top of the hour break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the Reverend Jesus Payan, and we'll ask him about his encounters with evil, with demonic forces. What were they like? What was it like to go square off face-to-face with real evil? We'll do that when we return. We also want to send out, Tim, I don't know if you saw this, Hr.1 from Ghost Adventures was hit very directly today as somebody blew through a stop sign.
No.
And wrecked his car pretty good, broke both axles.
Oh, my gosh.
Deployed all of the airbags throughout the car. He only has scratches on his legs at this point, so we don't know if there's any other damage, but he seems pretty chipper, but you have that kind of adrenaline rush after this. Yeah. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Hr.1, and we hope that he's doing okay after that accident, as we also hope the person that hit him, although they caused an accident, we hope they're doing well. Want to make sure to mention, too, folks, we need those prayers and intentions. California and Montana are burning under wildfires again. It is bad. So we need your thoughts and intentions. Do it during the break here. You got 5 minutes. Concentrate on torrential quenching rains in Montana and California that just soak the ground, soak the trees, and help to save people's homes and communities and wildlife. We just asked for your help on that. Montana and California are in desperate need of help. We'll come back. We've got more coming your way here on the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio.